Hey everyone, I'm so excited for once. I'm so excited with all this chaos because I saw a video by Ann Kenton and I am going to link it below. She gave me her permission to do that and to mention her. I want to say I was so inspired when I was done. I was like, why in the world have I not thought of this? You know, I have lots of these boxes full of things, right? But they come in a big case. And there are a lot of times I'm just crafting and doing, and I don't want to take the time to get all that out, right? I want something small with my bits sitting here. So now I'm going to show you something that I never thought I would. So here we go. I hope this works. I'm going to show you what a mess I have here. Okay. Okay, see all this? This is just in a small area by my desk. And believe it or not, there's a box underneath here, okay? But it's piled with this stuff. It took me, oh gosh, I don't even know how long to find this. And look how big this is. This is big, okay? This is big. It was in that stack of stuff, and I couldn't find it because there's just so much here on my desk, and it goes way out farther. I just showed you a piece of it because my goal is, after seeing Anne's video, I have this little box. I'm gonna raise you up just a bit. I have this little box, and as you can see, I've kind of started already, and I'm trusting that you're my peeps and you're not going to judge about how I'm doing this. But as you can see, well, let me go back a minute. What she did in her video was the little scraps and bits. She had pretty vellum envelopes, and she had different kinds of things, but the envelopes are what stuck out to me and made me think, why am I not doing this? Because and then I immediately went to think, what can I use for envelopes? Because I'm too precious with my vellum that I would use it for this, just my scraps. So I thought, okay, you have 100,000. Okay, I know that's a bit of overkill, but I have a bunch of these envelopes, junk mail envelopes. And I'm a visual person, so I knew I wanted to make them quickly appealing to my eye. So I have taken junk mail envelopes, and as you can see, like this one has a little piece of fabric stapled to the top. This one I made a tab with a number. This one I did with some thread. Okay, I always have lots of extra thread because I like to put them in my clusters. Let me see if I can find you one. And this is the book I made on my last video. And you can see some of my clusters just have threads. Just have threads on them. See the threads? I like that look. So I have an envelope with just the extra threads that I'm going to throw in here. And I think when this is done, how easy it's going to be to make clusters. I'll have all my things already sorted. And like I said, I found this little box. I measured it. It's 7 inches. So I knew my envelopes had to fit in this box. And before I'm done, I hope to put this little bitty box where all this mess is with all that goodness in here. I say that Anne is my friend. I've actually never met her, but I don't think you have to meet someone to call them your friend. They inspire you, they encourage you, and that's a friend, right? So anyway, and plus, once I clear out this spot, I'll have room to put the things. All right, so just keep stacking it up there, Christy, and see if you can't get it to fall. I thought really quickly I would show you how I'm making these. Not like it really needs a tutorial. You can probably figure out yourself. You probably already know how I've done it. But I'm going to cover the box because, again, I'm a visual kind of person. So I want it to be, something, obviously, that inspires me to look at it. These inspire me. So I went and I got a bunch of my junk mail envelopes. This is just a drop in the bucket. I have so many. As I've said before, I work from home, and the office I work for, you know, of course I'm the billing clerk, so I get tons of mail. And the fabric one, see, I'm going to put pieces like this. The thread one, I'm going to put my excess thread. The number one, I'm going to put pieces like where I have this. I'm going to tear them, ink them, and my goal is that if I do this after every project, I can kind of keep this desk somewhat orderly. Because when you craft, you know, it gets to be such a mess that it's hard to create anymore. It's too difficult. Now, some of these pieces, I'm not going to do anything to. I might just tear them and put them in the little envelope because, you know, I don't know, am I going to create a cluster with it? And I only need numbers on one side. Am I going to, you know, how am I going to use it? I don't know that yet. So some of these I'll probably just, and I may not even do this until I'm ready to craft. I might just have a tab that has a piece of scrap paper on it, and I'll know that it's all kinds of little pieces. You have to do what makes sense to you. And as she said in her video, which I loved, it's all an experiment. We do things, and as we go along, did that work? You know, did it not work? You know, that kind of thing. And a lot of things that I thought were going to be fabulous turned out to be not fabulous. They didn't work at all for me. And, you know, this, I think, is definitely something that's going to work for me because it's a very small box. I love doing things like this. And I think that having it handy next to my desk is going to be perfect. So like this one, I've stamped a number. And of course, this is going to be full of envelopes, so it'll be easier. But I'm just going to drop it in the one with the little number thing. And of course, with them having windows, I can also see that way. But the tab, I think, gives me a better idea what's in it. Another thing, I have a friend that sent me some Happy Mail in these little envelopes. And they're just odds and ends, so I'm just going to put them in the box. I initially was going to create another envelope like these to put them in. I thought, why would you do that? Why are you creating more things? You know, unless I end up wanting to use this envelope one day, I'm just going to leave it in the envelope. And I have another one that's somewhere in this chaos that she sent me. I can't find it. When I do, it goes in the box. But I thought I would show you what my plans are, how I'm going to, what my organizational, you know, how I'm going to organize it. She had a lot, you know, for her and to me, it was a lot better than this, but this is what's going to work for me. You know, everybody's different. You see things and you know what can work for you and how your mind works. And, you know, I know that if I see that number, I'm going to know those are the bits that I've stamped little numbers on. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just gluing down some pieces that I know are probably going to stay. My box was 7 inches. And I want to show you something else I did. I made some that have the little flap, you know, where it can open more. I thought that would be really helpful. But then I thought, well, does it really make a difference? So I made one without the flap, where I just tore it, glued down the side. And to be honest, there's not a lot of difference. This still opens up really big. You know, just as big as the one that I did do the flaps on. So why take the extra time? I'm not going to do that. I like it, but it really doesn't serve a purpose, so I'm not going to do that. So I know my box is 7 inches, so I'm just going to tear. I want these slightly smaller than that. So I'm going to tear them at roughly 6 3/4. And I've just got a ruler here on my desk. So I'm going to put this ruler on top and just rough tear it at 6 3/4. And I keep this. I made tabs out of this, but even if I don't, I mean, these would be great to slide on the edge of a journal page and make as a pocket on both sides. You know, so much you can do with that. And however many of those are left, I'll just tuck them in my little box here, and I'll have them ready to use for when I am making journals. So I've just torn down. I love the rough edge. And I trim this across just so it's easier. And I like when it's got the tears, the deeper tears, the rugged look. I like that. I think it adds to it too. And, you know, like I said, no one's going to see this but me. But I appreciate it when I'm working to see something like this that inspires me. But I encourage you to watch Anne's video because she had a lot of different things that she used. This is just one thing that I'm going to be using. I also have a lot of the storage things, but I don't have room for them on my desk. I'm trying to eliminate some of this to have more room to make it easier to create. And not thinking these are going to last forever. You know, when they get too rugged, too hard to use, guess what? I have 100 more that I can make another one. And look how easy this is to make. It's not like it takes very long. So I'm just going to glue down the side. Just a thin strip of glue. You could use double-sided tape. You could use whatever you want, obviously, huh? And there's your envelope. That easy. You have all this goodness. You've just used one of these junk mail envelopes that I'm sure everybody has. And so the pieces that I'm putting in here that I'm not going to stamp or do anything with, as I'm cleaning up my desk, I'm just going to drop them in. And if they're too big, I'll tear them down, or I'll take the time to put them, oh cute, look, in the bigger places that I have for scrap. This is just for bits and pieces that, you know, I want to make clusters out of or do something smaller out of. And like the little tab that has fabric, I have lots of little pieces like this just hanging out. And then I go to create, and I think, I know I saw a little piece, and I can never find it. So I'm hoping this will help with all of that. So now I'm going to make a tab for it. And as I create, sometimes I use the white part. Sometimes I use the inside of the envelope because I just thought it was pretty. And I will keep these little things, like I said. I'm going to keep this because I think that will be good on a cluster. And guess what? That can go right in here. Or maybe I will make a special envelope just for the postage kind. You know, as I go along and I see how I use it, I see how full they are and what I need, I will, you know, create the things. Because here's another piece. So I have, you know, a couple of these now. But you, like this one, I think I had, see, and that this is the thing. I had a piece of, here it is, of leftover Christmas paper. So my thought is I'm going to make this the tab where I'll know this is Christmas. There's Christmas bits in there. So I'm going to make that one as I'm talking, but for this one, let's make a little tab to let me know that it's just scraps. It's nothing stamped. Maybe I'll use a piece of this packing paper, and you know, who knows, maybe I'll create an envelope just for packing paper. So, you know, maybe I'm just going to put in like this until I decide how I'm going to divide them, and then I'll make the tabs. The other things that I've already made, and then see how good it fits in the box. The other ones that I've already made, I knew for sure that's how I wanted to allocate those envelopes. But so I'm just going to stick that in here for now. And I'm going to create another one for my Christmas. I know this is probably not something you need to watch because it's, you know, like I said, very self-explanatory, but I think that maybe there's somebody out there that is like me that hasn't, this might be useful for you. You know, Anne's video was amazing to me, and at the same time I'm thinking, why didn't I think of this? Why didn't I think to use the things I have already? So I'm going to tear this because I want it to be grungy. I just tore that off. And yeah, I'm actually going to throw that little piece away. But hopefully by the time you see the cluster video, and you'll see in the cluster video, I mean, or the project I made with the cluster book, I'm going to fill that thing up with these. I think, you know, like I was talking about my goals, call them goals, because if I call them resolutions, I'm even hard-headed to myself. If I call it a resolution, I'll be done with it before I end this video. I'm not going to do it. That's just how cranky and fussy, I guess. So my goal is for next year that I'm going to, at the end of my project, or maybe just, you know, at the end of a crafting session, I want to put away my scrap pieces and maybe allocate a day that I'll go through this box and create something with them, you know, where they don't just get piled up forever high and forever thick. When I started my process of, I was going to organize everything and do all the things. That's not coming out. I bought a lot, bought a lot of baskets and things, and not expensive. I just went to the Dollar Tree and bought little baskets and whatever. Okay, and why I did that, I don't know. Because I guess at the time, like I said, I had not thought, why not just use what I have, create the envelopes. I've always got boxes, you know, of some size, shape, and even if you don't have the right size, you can always create a box, you know, out of your packaging or things. So this one is my Christmas one. So I'm not gonna use the whale tail for this one. I'm just gonna put this on here. I'm so happy with this, Anne. Thank you so much. Sometimes we make things that we don't bother showing to others because we think it's just too obvious. Well, I can speak only for myself. Sometimes the most obvious things are the things that I miss. Do you ever find that? I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one that has that trouble. So now I know whatever I'm going to put in this little Christmas scrap. Love it. Just drop that in the box. So I'm just going to keep making. And actually, I think what I'm going to do now is I've made this many. I'm going to start filling them. And then as I realize I would like to have one for this, my mind would think that way, I'll create another one. And I will eventually, I'm sure, have this little box filled up. So I'm just going to take these, stand them up in here too, so that I know where they are. And I do have places for my fabric and, but not, like I said, not the little bitty pieces that are just hanging out on my desk. Now, see, this is why it's hard for me to organize. I'm wondering, do I want to put this in the material one or in the number one? And to me, it makes sense to put it in the number one because that way I'll know. Or maybe I make one for just the materials and I make one for the materials that I've stamped. I don't know. Right now, I'm just still creating the process. And as Anne said, we have to go through several things usually to see what works for us and what doesn't. And I liked that. That made me feel better about the things that I have created that really didn't work out that great. Like, I did folders for all my stamps in a big binder. I put them in a big binder. That was a fail. I would not do that again. Matter of fact, I've already taken most of them out and put them back in their little bags. Not the bag they came in, but just, see, I've got some thread on this one. Just, a bag that I have all my stamps in. I'd like to have them more organized. I also made file folders for my dies. I don't like that either. It's too heavy, too hard to mess about with it. I would probably still leave those in the envelopes. And I'm telling you this because I don't, I'm reiterating what she said, and that, sometimes it takes us a bit to find out what works and what doesn't work for us. And I'm hoping this process works. I can see where it would work for me. Of course, I also thought the other things would work for me, and they didn't. Like right now, I'm looking for a little piece of paper, not this big, that looks like a ruler that was supposed to go in this cluster that I cannot find. So hopefully by the time I'm done organizing and putting the bigger things back to their home, I will be able to make my clusters and all the things and not get so frustrated, spending 20 minutes trying to make one little cluster because I've got my mind set on one certain piece of paper that I can't find. So, and thank you very much. I loved your tutorial or your tips. I think it was more tips and great ideas. Thank you for that. Again, like I said, I will link it below. And I hope this inspires you to create your own organizing system, at least one piece of it. It's not like this, as a crafter, you don't just find one thing. Look, there's a little piece of paper ruffle. Gonna have to put that in something, or do I put it in the Christmas thing? See, that's another problem. I try to break it down way too much. Sometimes I think I make it too difficult. All right. Thanks for watching, for listening to me ramble, and my ideas that are in my head are crazy sometimes, but I love this idea, and thank you so much. And I hope this inspired somebody as like that you inspired me. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time, guys. Bye.